The year is 1634. The dry season wind carries ash from burning villages across the Joseon border. And in the courtyard of Weizong Fortress, a crowd has gathered to witness what they believe is a demon. She stands at the center of their fear. Adiz, 23 winters old. Skin like the bark of an ancient Irako tree, deep, dark, unapologetic. Her body carries the memory of chains, but her spine refuses to remember how to bow. She was stolen from the Igbo kingdom of Nri when she was 17. Sold through Portuguese traders. Shipped across waters that had no name in her mother tongue. Passed through Chinese merchants like cargo. And finally, delivered here. To Joseon. To a land that had never seen her kind. The crowd whispers in a language she spent 6 years learning to decode. Look at her skin, it's cursed. Is she even human? They say she killed 12 men with her bare hands. That last one is true. The merchant who bought her in Qing, China discovered this when he tried to touch her the way men always tried to touch women they believed they owned. She left his body in pieces. And now she kneels in this foreign courtyard, hands bound by rope thick enough to moor a ship, surrounded by soldiers who clutch their swords like children clutching their mother's skirts. Cowards. He wants to laugh. But her throat is too dry. Her stomach too empty. And her heart is too tired. A voice cuts through the noise. Enough. One word. Quiet. But the effect is immediate. The crowd parts like water before a blade. And he appears. Crown Prince Lee Seojun moves through the world like a ghost who hasn't realized he's still alive. 28 years old. The only surviving son of King Injo. His mother was executed when he was 12. Declared a traitor by court ministers who wanted her removed. His 2 older brothers died of mysterious illness within the same year. He learned young that love is a luxury that kills. His face reveals nothing as he approaches the bound woman. The mask he wears is porcelain perfect. High cheekbones carved by generations of royal blood, lips that have forgotten how to smile, and eyes. His eyes are what make people look away. They are the color of winter rivers. Drowning. He stops 3 feet from Adiz and tilts his head, studying her the way one might study an equation that refuses to solve. They tell me, he says slowly, his voice low and measured, that you killed a merchant and 6 of his guards in Qing territory. That you were being transported as a gift to a Manchurian prince when you escaped. That you survived alone in the mountains for 3 months before my patrol found you. He pauses. They tell me you are a demon. Adiz lifts her head. Their eyes meet. And something in the universe shifts. She doesn't know it yet. Neither does he. But this moment, this single moment of collision, has just altered the course of both their lives forever. I am no demon, she says in broken but defiant Korean. I am Adiz of the Nri kingdom. Daughter of warriors. And I bow to no man who has not earned my respect. The crowd gasps. Speaking to the crown prince without permission. Looking at him directly. Refusing to bow. Any one of these offenses warrants death. But Prince Lee Seojun does something he has not done in 7 years. He smiles. It's barely there, a ghost of a ghost, but it exists. Good, he says quietly. I have no use for those who bow. She's taken to the dungeons. But not to die. He comes to her that night. Alone. No guards. No servants. No witnesses. This, Adiz will later learn, is how Prince Lee Seojun does everything. In shadow. In silence. In spaces between the rules. He sits on the cold stone floor across from her cell, his royal robes pooling around him like a fallen cloud, and he speaks. Joseon is dying. His voice carries no emotion. He states it like a fact. The Manchus press from the north. The Japanese still hunger for our shores. And within our own court, ministers wage war with poison and whisper. My father grows weak. My cousins sharpen their knives. I am crown prince in name, but I am surrounded by enemies who wear the faces of allies. He lifts his gaze to hers. I need a weapon they cannot predict, cannot understand, cannot buy or corrupt. And you believe I am this weapon? Adiz asks. I believe, he says slowly, that you survived being stolen from your homeland. Survived the crossing. Survived slavery. Survived escape. Survived 3 months alone in mountains where trained soldiers freeze to death in 3 days. He leans forward slightly. I believe you are a survivor, Adiz of Nri. And I need someone who knows how to survive. She is quiet for a long moment. What do you offer in exchange? Freedom, he says simply. Serve me for 5 years. Protect me. Help me secure the throne. And I will give you what no one else in this kingdom can. A ship, gold, and passage back to your homeland. Her breath catches. Home. The word is a wound that has never healed. Why should I trust you? She asks, her voice harder now. You are a prince. You could order my death with a single word. Why bargain with a slave when you could simply command? Because I do not want a slave. He rises then, and for the first time she sees something flicker behind the ice in his eyes. Something almost human. I want an equal, he says. Someone who serves me not because they fear me but because they choose to. Someone whose loyalty I have earned. His jaw tightens. I have been surrounded by bowing heads and lying tongues my entire life. I am tired of it. He extends his hand through the bars. 5 years, Adise. And then you go home. She looks at his hand. At his face. At the door that leads to execution or worse. And she makes her choice. 5 years, she agrees. But understand this, Prince. I am not your servant. I am not your slave. If I fight for you, it is because I choose to. And if you ever betray me. She takes his hand. Her grip is iron. I will kill you myself. He does not flinch. If anything, his almost smile returns. I would expect nothing less. 6 months later. Adise has become something new. By day she is invisible. A servant in plain robes who carries water and cleans chambers and draws no attention. The court has forgotten about the demon woman, who arrived in chains. She is just another body in the palace machinery. But by night she is Isiojun's shadow. She trains in the abandoned eastern wing of the palace, where no one goes because they believe it's haunted. It isn't. The prince started that rumor himself when he was 14 and needed somewhere to hide. She learns the Korean art of the sword, the fluid, precise strikes that are so different from the brutal efficiency of her homeland's warriors. She masters archery, poisons, the pressure points that can drop a man in seconds. And she learns him. She learns that Prince Isiojun takes his tea exactly at the hour of the ox, always alone, always in silence. She learns that he has not slept more than 3 hours a night since he was 12. She learns that he writes poetry he will never share. She finds the pages sometimes half-burned in his fireplace, verses about winter and empty rooms and mothers who never come back. She learns that he is brilliant, ruthless when necessary, and utterly, completely alone. Like her. The first time she saves his life, it happens too fast to think. A feast. Hundreds of nobles. The prince lifts a cup of wine to his lips. And Adise, stationed in the servants' alcove, sees what no one else sees. The slight tremor in the hand of the minister who poured it. The way his eyes flick to the prince's cup and then away. She moves. She stumbles into a passing servant who crashes into the table, who knocks the prince's cup from his hand before it can touch his lips. Chaos erupts. Everyone is looking at the clumsy servants. No one is looking at the minister's face, pale, sweating, terrified. No one except the prince. His eyes find Adise across the crowded hall. He sees her. He knows. Later, in the shadows of the eastern wing, he finds her. The minister, she asks. Being questioned. And the wine. Poison. The kind that takes 3 days to kill. It would have looked like illness. He is quiet for a moment. You saved my life. That is what you asked me to do. No. He steps closer. Closer than he has ever been. Close enough that she can smell sandalwood and something else. Something like winter air before snow falls. I asked you to protect me. You could have done that by simply warning me. Instead you made yourself look foolish. You risked exposure. I did what was necessary. Why? The question is raw. Unguarded. And for the first time Adise sees the boy beneath the prince. The child who watched his mother die, who buried his brothers, who has spent his entire life wondering if anyone would ever choose him for him and not for his crown. She should lie. She should deflect. Instead she tells him the truth. Because you are the only path I have to home. And because. She pauses, struggling with words that feel too large for any language. Because you look at me like I am human. In 6 years in this land, you are the only one who has. Something breaks in his eyes. And something else begins to build. 1 year later. The attempts on his life have increased. 3 poisonings. 2 assassins in the night. 1 hunting accident that nearly took his head. Each time Adiz stops it. Each time he survives. And each time the distance between them shrinks. It happens slowly. So slowly that neither of them names it. It begins with small things. Him bringing her books about military strategy because he noticed she was interested. Her leaving medicinal herbs outside his chamber when she notices he's been coughing. Him teaching her to write Korean characters, his hand guiding hers over the brush in a touch that lasts a second too long. Her teaching him words in Igbo, Nwan sibling, Udo peace, Ife Oma beautiful thing. He starts calling her Ife Oma when they are alone. She pretends not to know what it means. They both know she's lying. The breaking point comes on the night of the winter solstice. Snow falls heavy over Weizong Fortress. The court is celebrating. But the prince has disappeared from the festivities and Adiz, who always knows where he is, follows. She finds him in the eastern wing. Sitting in the darkness. Holding a small portrait of a woman in royal robes. His mother. He doesn't look up when Adiz enters but his voice is rough. 17 years ago today. They made me watch. She says nothing. She simply sits beside him. And she waits. I was 12, he continues quietly. They said she conspired against the throne. It was a lie, everyone knew it was a lie, but my father was weak and the ministers were strong and... His jaw tightens. She told me not to cry. She said, my son, the moment they see your tears, they will know where to cut you forever. So I didn't cry. Not then. Not at her funeral. Not ever again. He finally looks at her. And his mask, that perfect porcelain mask, is gone. What's underneath is devastation. I am so tired, he whispers. Of being cold. Of being alone. Of living in a palace full of people and feeling like a ghost haunting my own life. Adiz's heart constricts. She knows this pain. He has lived this pain. My mother, she says quietly, told me something before I was taken. She said, the river that tries to forget its source will never find the sea. I have spent 6 years trying to forget. Trying to become numb. But the grief does not go away, it simply goes underground. And what you bury eventually rises. She reaches out. Her fingers hover near his face. He should not touch him. He is a crown prince. His, whatever she is. This is forbidden. But his eyes are begging her. And she has never been good at following rules. Her hand cups his cheek. His skin is cold. But his breath is fire. You are not alone, she says softly. Not anymore. He closes his eyes. And the Crown Prince of Joseon does something he has not done since he was 12 years old. He weeps. Silently. Brokenly. While the only person who has ever truly seen him holds his face in her hands and lets him fall apart. 2 years in. They do not speak of that night. But everything changes. The distance is gone now, replaced by something that has no name. Something that lives in the space between their bodies when they train together at dawn. Something that crackles in the air when their hands brush over documents. Something that aches when he looks at her across a crowded court and she looks back. That's what the ministers would call it. But it's more than that. Adiz knows obsession. She has seen men obsess over gold, over power, over conquest. That hunger is hollow. It takes and gives nothing back. This is different. This gives. When he looks at her, she feels seen. When he speaks to her, she feels heard. When he trusts her with his secrets, his fears, his hopes, the poetry he no longer burns, she feels human. Not a slave. Not a weapon. Human. And he's changing too. The Ice Prince is thawing. He laughs now, not often, not loudly, but genuinely. The sound is rusty, unpracticed, and it does something dangerous to her heart every time she hears it. He starts sleeping better. She knows because she still watches his window at night and the candle burns for shorter hours now. He starts eating more. Making decisions with more confidence. Standing straighter. And he starts touching her. Nothing forbidden. His hand on her shoulder when he passes. His fingers straightening the collar of her robe. His body close to hers when they review maps together. Close enough that she can feel the warmth of him through layers of silk. It's a slow torture. Because she wants more. And she can never have it. You need to choose a bride. She says it one night as they sit together in the eastern wing, the only place they can be alone without suspicion. His hand freezes over the game board between them. What? A bride. Her voice is steady, even though her chest feels like it's caving in. The ministers are pressing for it. The court is gossiping. You need an heir to secure your position. And she forces herself to meet his eyes. And marrying the right family could neutralize your enemies. He stares at her. You are advising me to marry. I am advising you to survive. And what about? He stops himself, looks away. When he speaks again, his voice is raw. What about what I want? What you want, she says quietly, is impossible. Because you are foreign? Because I am everything wrong. I am not noble-born. I am not Korean. I am not pale-skinned or delicate or any of the 1,000 things a prince's wife must be. And if anyone even suspected that I don't care. I care. Her voice cracks. You think I haven't seen what happens to women who reach above their station? I watched my sister sold because our kingdom fell. I watched women on that slave ship thrown overboard when they became inconvenient. I have watched you survive assassination attempt after assassination attempt, and I will not, she breathes. I will not be the thing that gets you killed. He is on his feet before she can blink. He crosses the space between them. He stands above her and his eyes, those Winter River eyes, are burning. You think I fear death? No, she whispers. That's what terrifies me. You have spent so long expecting to die that you've forgotten how to live. And you what? She looks up at him. And she tells him the truth that has been building for 2 years. I want you to live. I want you to rule. I want you to become the king this kingdom needs and find peace and have children and, her voice breaks. And I want all of these things more than I want to go home. And that is why I cannot let this become what we both want it to become. Because the moment I matter more to you than your throne, you will die for me. And I will not survive that. He is silent for a long, agonizing moment. Then he kneels before her. A crown prince. Kneeling. And if I told you, he says softly, that you already matter more to me than anything? That I have not felt alive since I was 12 years old and you have given me a reason to breathe? That I would burn this palace to ash if it meant keeping you. Adiz closes her eyes. A tear escapes. Then I would say you are a fool. Perhaps. He reaches up. Wipes the tear with his thumb. But I am your fool. She should push him away. She should maintain the distance. Instead she leans into his touch. And seals both their fates. 3 years in. The king is dying. Everyone knows it. The palace is a viper's nest. And every faction is positioning for the succession. Prince Lee Seojun should be the obvious choice. He is the crown prince after all, but nothing in Joseon is ever simple. His uncle, Prince Pyong, has been whispering poison in the minister's ears. The crown prince is weak, unstable. He has foreign blood, they murmur. His mother was rumored to have Chinese ancestry. And worse, there are rumors of a black demon woman who has bewitched him. The rumors have started. Adiz knew they would eventually. She has been careful, so careful, but court spies are everywhere and love, because that is what this is now, though neither has spoken the word aloud. Love is not a thing that hides well. The first attack comes on a spring evening. Adiz is returning from the market when she realizes she is being followed. 3 men, trained, moving in the pattern of a hunting pack. She leads them into an alley. And she ends them. But not before one manages to slice her arm. Deep to the bone. She staggers back to the palace, blood soaking through her robes, and she makes it to the eastern wing before she collapses. He finds her there. His face goes white. Who did this? His voice is ice. She has heard him angry before. This is not anger. This is wrath. It doesn't matter, she says through gritted teeth as he bandages her arm with hands that shake. They were hired blades. Killing them changes nothing. It matters to me. Seojun. It matters to me. He looks up and his eyes are wild. You are bleeding. You could have died. And you want me to do nothing? I want you to be smart. She grabs his hands, stilling them. If you investigate, you expose how much I mean to you. If you retaliate, you give them ammunition. The ministers are already whispering that you're unfit. If you start executing people over a servant girl, they will use it against you. I don't care about the ministers. You should. The king has weeks left at most. You need the minister's support to take the throne. Without it, your uncle will stage a coup and you will be the one bleeding in an alley. He stares at her. The rage doesn't leave his face, but it focuses. So I do nothing. You do everything. You play the game. You smile at the ministers. You pretend I don't exist. And when you are king, she squeezes his hands. When you are king, you burn every last one of them. He laughs. It's a terrible sound, hollow and sharp. You are asking me to let them get away with hurting you. I am asking you to survive. That has always been what I asked. She lifts her bandaged arm. This heals. Death doesn't. He says nothing for a long moment. Then he presses his forehead to hers. I hate this. I know. I hate that I am powerless to protect you. You're not. You're being strategic. There's a difference. It doesn't feel different. It won't. Not until we win. 4 years in. The king is dead. The succession war begins. Prince Pyong moves fast. Faster than anyone expected. Within hours of the king's death, he has the royal guard under his command. Within days, half the ministers have declared for him. Within a week, Seojun is a prisoner in his own palace. And Adiz is nowhere to be found. Because she saw it coming. 2 days before the king's death, her spy network, carefully built over 4 years, warned her. Prince Pyong had made a deal with the Manchus. In exchange for military support, he would open Joseon's northern border. A betrayal that would doom the kingdom but secure his throne. She has the evidence. She has the documents. And she has a choice. She can use the evidence to destroy Prince Pyong. But to do that, she needs to reach the ministers who are still neutral. The ones who have not yet declared. And they will not listen to a foreign woman. They will listen to a prince. But the prince is imprisoned. Unless she breaks him out. Which means revealing herself. Which means confirming every rumor. Which means she can never be invisible again. She makes her choice in the space of a heartbeat. Because he is worth it. The night of the escape is chaos. Adiz moves through the palace like a ghost made of blades. She has spent 4 years learning every corridor, every guard rotation, every shadow. She uses it all now. 6 guards fall. 2 more flee at the sight of her. And then she is at his door. He looks up when she enters. His face is bruised. His wrists are raw from chains. But his eyes, those winter eyes, blaze when he sees her. You should have run. I considered it. She kneels, working at his chains with a hairpin and steady hands. But then I realized I made you a promise. 5 years. We're not done yet. Ada. We can talk later. Right now we run. They run. Through corridors slick with blood. Through courtyards lit by fire. Through a kingdom tearing itself apart. And somewhere in the chaos, between the clash of swords and the screaming of dying men, his hand finds hers. He doesn't let go. The evidence reaches the neutral ministers. Prince Pyong's deal with the Manchus is exposed. And Joseon, proud, xenophobic Joseon, reacts with fury. A usurper is bad enough. A traitor who would sell his country to foreign invaders? Unforgivable. The tide turns in hours. Ministers who had declared for Pyong switch sides. The royal guard fractures. And Seojun, bruised, battered, and utterly magnificent, rallies his supporters for a final battle. But Pyong does not go quietly. He flees to the northern fortress with his remaining loyalists. And Seojun has no choice but to pursue. The Battle of the Northern Pass will be remembered in Joseon histories for centuries. They will write about the prince who led the charge himself. They will write about the loyalists who fought despite impossible odds. But they will not write about her. Because she is fighting where histories cannot reach. In the shadows behind enemy lines, eliminating the archers who would have killed Seojun 3 times over. She is wounded by the 2nd hour. A sword catches her side, not fatal but bleeding badly. She keeps fighting. She is wounded again by the 4th hour. An arrow grazes her shoulder. She keeps fighting. By the 6th hour, Prince Pyong is cornered. And Adiz, barely standing, covered in blood, more ghost than woman, watches from the ramparts as the man she loves walks toward the man who tried to destroy him. Surrender, Seojun says. And I will grant you exile instead of execution. Prince Pyong laughs. You think I fear death? You think any of this was about me? Look around you, nephew. Joseon is a corpse dressed in silk. The Manchus will come eventually. The Japanese will return. And your precious throne will crumble. I was simply accelerating the inevitable. Perhaps, Seojun says. But not today. He raises his sword. And Prince Pyong dies on the snow-covered ground, his blood steaming in the frozen air. Lee Seojun becomes king. The coronation is 3 months after the battle. He stands in the grand hall, draped in dragon robes, and receives the bows of 1,000 ministers. He is magnificent. He is powerful. He is alone. Because Adiz is not there. She is in the eastern wing, their wing, watching the ceremony through a crack in the shutters. Her wounds have healed mostly. The scars will stay forever. She is making tea when he finds her that evening. Still in his coronation robes. Still wearing the dragon crown. And looking at her like she is his entire universe. You were not there. I was not supposed to be. You saved my throne. You nearly died saving my throne. And you could not stand beside me. Seojun. Do not. His voice breaks. Do not tell me again about what is proper. About what is safe. About what is possible. I am king now. I can change what is possible. She sets down the teapot. Can you change 1,000 years of tradition? Can you change the ministers who still believe I am a demon? Can you change the kingdoms who will refuse to marry their daughters to a king with a foreign consort? She shakes her head. You won the throne. Now you have to keep it. And you cannot do that with me beside you. So what? I should marry some noble girl I do not love? Father heirs I do not want. Spend the rest of my life pretending you do not exist. Yes. The word is a blade. She drives it into both their hearts. Yes, she repeats softer now. Because that is what it costs. To be king. To keep your kingdom safe. To protect the people who depend on you. She moves toward him, cups his face in her hands the way she did on that winter night years ago. And because I love you too much to watch you destroy everything we fought for. He closes his eyes. I cannot lose you. You will not. I will remain. I will stay in the shadows where I belong. I will protect you until my last breath. But I will not. Her voice cracks. I will not let you burn for me. And what about what I want? I love. She presses her forehead to his. You stopped belonging to yourself the moment that crown touched your head. That is the cost of power. I knew it when I made my choice to save you. And I would make it again. 1,000 times. He weeps. For the second time in his life. And she holds him. As the candles burn low and the kingdom sleeps and two people who should never have found each other cling together in the darkness. 1 year later. He is a good king. The history books will say that. They will write about the reforms he passed, the borders he secured, the corruption he rooted out. They will write about King Seojun the Just who took a broken kingdom and made it whole. They will not write about the woman who watches from the shadows. They will not write about the figure who patrols the palace corridors at night, eliminating threats before they can reach him. They will not write about the silent meetings in the eastern wing, where a king and a warrior speak in soft voices about everything and nothing, and never touch and never stop wanting to. The 5-year contract ended 6 months ago. Adiz did not leave. She could not. Home was a word that used to mean the hills of Nri, the sound of her mother's voice, the smell of palm oil and red earth. Now it means him. He hates it. He loves it. She cannot change it. He marries on a spring morning. Lady Min is 17 years old, 18 now, having recently celebrated her birthday, beautiful, graceful, and utterly terrified of her new husband. She comes from a powerful family, and the marriage secures an alliance that will protect Joseon for generations. She's a good choice. The right choice. Adiz watches the wedding from a distant roof, her face hidden in shadows, and feels her heart crack cleanly down the middle. That night, while the kingdom celebrates, she goes to the eastern wing. She does not expect him to come. He is a married man now. A king with a queen. He should not. He comes. Of course he comes. He stands in the doorway, still in his wedding robes, and looks at her with eyes that hold oceans of grief. I could not. His voice breaks. I could not go to her. Not yet. Not without. You don't owe me an explanation. Yes, I do. I owe you everything. He crosses the room, takes her hands, and makes a vow that will never be written in any history book. I will be a good husband to her. I will treat her with kindness and respect. I will father heirs and secure the succession. But she will never, he squeezes her hands, never have this What we are. The part of me that is still alive because of you. That belongs to you and only you until I die. Adise closes her eyes. A single tear escapes. You should not promise such things. I am king. I can promise whatever I like. He laughs. A broken wet sound. You are still a fool. Still your fool. 30 years later. The old king is dying. His hair is white now, his body frail, but his eyes, those Winter River eyes, are still sharp. Still deep. Still holding secrets that historians will spend centuries trying to decode. He has been a great king. The greatest of his generation, some say. He secured Joseon's borders. He reformed the courts. He built schools and hospitals and bridges that still stand today. His wife, Queen Min, bore him 3 sons and 2 daughters. She passed 5 years ago and he mourned her genuinely, because she had become a friend over time. A partner. Not a love, but something perhaps equally valuable. His children and grandchildren surround his bed now. But his eyes are not on them. His eyes are on the window. On the shadow that waits outside. The funeral procession stretches for miles. Every citizen of the capital turns out to mourn the great King Seojun. They weep and wail and throw flowers. They tell stories of his kindness, his wisdom, his strength. No one notices the old woman who watches from the rooftop of an abandoned building. Her hair is gray now, twisted into locks that frame a face carved by time and war. Her body is still strong, still capable, but it carries the weight of decades. In her hand she holds a letter. His last letter. My Ife Oma. If you are reading this, I am gone. Do not grieve for me. I lived far longer than I ever expected, and I lived well because of you. You asked me once what I wanted. I never answered properly, so I answer now. I wanted a world where I could love you openly. Where I could give you the title of queen and watch our children play in the gardens. Where I could grow old with you beside me, not in the shadows but in the light. We did not get that world. But we got something. 30 years of stolen moments. 30 years of silent understanding. 30 years of a love that burned so bright it should have destroyed us and instead kept us both alive. Thank you. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. Thank you for saving me when I was lost. Thank you for loving me in a world that gave us every reason not to. Go home, Adise. Go back to Enrai. See your homeland one last time. Remember who you were before you were mine. And know that in whatever comes after death, if anything does, I will find you. I will always find you. Your fool Seojun. She folds the letter. She presses it to her heart. And the black warrior who protected the Joseon kingdom, who loved and lost and chose duty over desire and saved a throne at the cost of her own happiness, lets herself weep. One last time. The ship leaves the next morning. It carries a single passenger, an old woman with silver locks and scars that tell stories no historian will ever record. She's going home. Not because he ordered it, but because he asked. And she has never been able to deny him anything.